I want to talk a little bit about the current administration. I've been under this Moshe administration for 2 years, and what I have experienced within his approach to the Latino community is very minimal, nil, if you will. And what I have seen is him showing up to cut ribbons. What I have seen is him show up to a cultural event if he has time that day. And that's what he says, from his perspective, is supporting the Latino community. And that is not supporting the Latino community in my mind, and the way that I know Harry Rilling was going to come out to support the Hispanic business owners in particular, and the Latino community overall, and the city of Norwalk overall, the greater community at large. It was very clear last week at the South Norwalk Community Center when we had probably one of the first Latino debates in the city, where we drew attention to the specific issues that are facing our community here. And there was a clear distinction. One gentleman, our current mayor, was very angry. He was intolerable of the questions, at times uncomfortable. And we had another candidate running for mayor on our Democratic side, Harry Rilling, who was compassionate, who was thoughtful, who understood the community or the audience that he was in front of, and had a conversation with these folks. And I was very much appreciative of that, because you can tell and you can see the clear difference. We have many issues. We have a couple of soccer associations here. We have inequity in fields in this city. We also have inequity in the gymnasiums, so that our youth, our children of this city, can do positive things, get involved in sports, perform, and lay off the streets. And that's very important to us, in particular those that have young ones and growing up in this city. So to Natalia's point, there has been absolutely no communication here. And there are many small business owners here that should have had some type of dialogue. The mayor should have come down here himself to speak to the small business community and say, hey, look, we're going to have an interruption here. How can I help? How can we make sure that we are working together so that way you don't suffer through a closed bridge and construction and clients not being able to come through this area. I want to switch gears and talk about Harry Rilling. Harry Rilling, the man that I know, is going to have an open dialogue and will have better communication skills with the Latino community, our children, and the community overall here in Norwalk. I know that he's going to partner private sector, small business owners, and be there from a public sector, from a city government. City Hall will be there and have that relationship and bridge that gap that we so desperately need to bridge. As he mentioned in the debate, it's about engaging folks, and in particular our Hispanic community, that seems to need some folks like us here to stand up and provide some leadership. And I know Harry Rilling will be that guy and that mayor to come out and work directly with us. There's voter apathy within the Latino community. Not enough of us come out to vote. That needs to change, right? We have 5,000 registered Latino voters in the city out of about 25,000 in our population, and growing. We need to make sure that these folks have a say by registering to vote and coming out to vote. And that's the way we're going to have impact in this community overall. And lastly, I know that Mayor Rilling will have a real impact in small businesses. I think he gets it. He understands what it is to, come from a background of Latino background anyway, which is entrepreneurial spirit. We want to own our own businesses. We want to educate our children, and we want to make sure that they have a safe environment to grow up in and live in. So I'm proud to stand here with leaders in the Latino community. I'm proud to endorse Harry Rilling here. I know he is going to do big things for the community, for Norwalk, and he's going to be that bridge that we need to so desperately fill, that open communication and that dialogue is going to happen with Mayor Harry Rilling. Thank you.
bringing everybody together and bringing some of these issues that are so important to the Latino community to the front. You know, some people would have you say, or have you believe, that if only 800 of the 5,200 registered voters in the Latino community voted, that it's apathetic. Well, you know, apathy happens for a reason. And if you feel that your vote is not going to be heard, that nobody's going to listen to you anyway, you're going to be apathetic and you're going to say, why bother voting? So what you need is you need someone who is going to understand the Latino culture, the Latino needs. I spent 2 years living in Puerto Rico with the residents of Puerto Rico. They took care of my young daughter when she was 6 months old. I had wonderful, wonderful times, and I understood the cultural differences, and I appreciated and respected it. Now, I always say, I hope that when people from different countries come here, that we make them feel as welcome as I felt when I was living among the residents of Puerto Rico. They embraced me, they embraced my family, they were respectful, polite, and I had an amazing experience for 2 years living among the residents of Puerto Rico. It was an amazing experience. Now, what Warren said is true. This lack of communications, this is not the exception in Norwalk. This is the rule. Very little communications comes from City Hall to people who are affected by what's happening. It happened on Main Street. It happened other places where there's been things going on that are going to affect the small business people, cut into their business, and nobody reached out to them to explain what was happening or to ask if they could help. We need to be there for the Latino community and all communities, not only when it comes to helping them open small businesses and being a facilitator, not only when it comes to helping them purchase homes in the city of Norwalk, not only when it means helping them get out to vote, but it also when it means helping their children excel in schools by having proper programs that can help them integrate into the school system. It also means working with the Latino community and giving them a voice so that they do feel that they want to come out and vote. Now, I don't think it's an accident that out of 223 positions on boards and commissions throughout the city of Norwalk, that maybe 15 are filled from the Latino community. You're 25% of the city of Norwalk community, yet your boards and commissions are less than 10%. That to me is inherently unfair. And a Rilling administration wants to include all people from the entire city of Norwalk on my boards and commissions. I want my boards and commissions to represent the demographics of the city of Norwalk, because that's why when people feel that they're being heard. That's why when people feel they can go to City Hall and they can talk to somebody and be received properly. Right now, people don't feel that way. So we can help small business owners by conducting seminars for them. We can help people purchase homes. We did the same thing with the Wheat and Seed program several years ago. With Alex Knopf, we conducted workshops for people who are renting, Latinos, African Americans, people who felt, I cannot own a home because I can't afford it. What we did was we brought the HUD, the Housing and Urban Development Program, we brought banking institutions in, and we sat down and we did some training seminars. And you know what? I think it was 14 people who were renters became homeowners. And they were paying less for their mortgage than they were paying for rent. So these are the kinds of things that government needs to do. This is not about what can you do for the government. This is about what the government can do for you. How can we help you succeed? What do you need from us? One of the things I promised, the first thing I'm going to do is hold monthly Mayor's Night Out meetings, where I'll go to different parts of the community, meet with the people and ask them, what can we do to make things better for you? How can we work for you and you work for us in a public-private partnership that Warren mentioned? What do you need in your neighborhoods? What do you need in your community? And then we have to listen. Because if you listen to and you make a promise and you don't carry through on that promise, you lose all your credibility. And we've worked too hard to maintain this credibility. Now I'm asking everybody in this room to get out and vote, to get others to register and to vote, and if they're already registered, to talk to them about voting. If everybody in this room reached out to 5 people, who reached out to 5 more, who reached out to 5 more, the Latino community would be heard loud and clear. And they'll be heard saying, we want a voice. And we have to give them that voice. You are entitled to that voice. And we need to pay attention to what you're saying, and we need to work with you. So if you're registered, vote. If you're not registered, become registered and take care of that voice. You have a strong, strong voice in the city of Norwalk. It's like I always say, if you take a piece of thread and you pull it, it's going to break. But if you take 500 or 1,000 pieces of thread and wrap them together, you can't pull it apart with 2 cars going in opposite directions. Because that's strength. There's strength in numbers. And you need to exercise your franchise and you need to vote. Now, going beyond that, I need to say this. We have other Democratic candidates in this room. Me being the mayor and not having the support of the Democratic Council, Democratic Board of Education, we're going to be less effective than we could be. So if you want real action, if you want something to really get done, if you feel that things are no better now than they were 8 years ago, if you feel you want change, you want leadership for more change, then you need to not only vote for me, but you need to vote for the other people on the Democratic ticket to give us the tools, the strength and the numbers to be able to make the decisions we need to make to help you. So I thank you all for being here. God bless you all, and thank you for being such a vital part of this community.
Thank you.